Hey everyone, it's Stephanie again, and you are tuned into the review of Married at First Sight, Honeymoon Island, episode 3. So, sorry for the late review. Like I said in the other video, I am very much under the weather. I actually have a fever right now, so if I look flustered, I'm just going to try to knock this out. I just wanted to give you just a few pointers on this week's episode, and then obviously, you know, next week I'll go on a little bit longer. So, this week's episode was talking about love languages. Well, wait, let me go back. Because last week's episode ended with Jocelyn and Chris. And so we were all, I don't know, I was up in arms about him getting up and kind of, you know, sashaying over there. But I think that he handled it really well. And I say that because he did better than I thought he was going to do. I thought he was going to screw it up. But I think that his initial actions were a little, you know, they were a little off-putting to me because, you know, I just don't think it should have happened. But, you know, he talked to her. Jocelyn looked like an idiot. You know, girl, you were not chosen, whatever the reason was. And you're sitting here fighting for this man who made a choice, whatever his reasons are. You know, I think she came in cocky, like, oh, I'm prettier than her, and I should be with him. And he said this, and, you know, he kind of stood up for him and said for himself and said, you know, I believe that me and Jada had a more authentic and genuine connection. And that was huge because he could have, you know, he could have like said, sorry y'all, I'm not, he could have said, you know, okay, or he could have done something that was not beneficial to the situation, but he was honest with her, like, you know, I have a daughter. And this is where, you know, there's some depth there, even though we all kind of see that, you know, he has an old Playboy swag, but there's some depth there. Like, in his mind, I have a daughter. Like, my daughter is my world. Whoever I want in this life with me has to fit and has to make her a priority, and I have to trust that she will be a good example and a good nurturer. And he said straight up, like, you didn't even ask me about her. And she kind of said, she gave some weak excuse. Please let me know what it was. It was something along the lines of, like, we didn't have time to bring her up, or something, you know, like, give me a break. And so for him, you know, thinking with this head, he made a choice that was beneficial to his relationship because he didn't want to be with someone who on the surface would work. So he stayed true to why he came. He came to find someone who he could build a future with. So I was happy. I was surprised. You know, me and my husband were watching it and I was like, he did way better than I thought. And we both were like happy to see that. So good to see that, you know, he goes and talks to Jada and they kind of move on. Jada will side-eye him for a while because she has to build trust, especially when she's already, you know, burnt with past relationships. So they move on. This week's episode was about love languages. So if you don't know, Love Languages is a book by Gary Chapman, and it basically shares that we have 5 types of love languages, and learning each other's, your mate's love language will drastically change your relationship for the better, because a lot of times we love by the way we want to be loved. So, for example, okay, so the 5 are quality touch, acts of service, gifts, words of affirmation, and physical touch. So quality time, acts of service, gifts, words of affirmation, physical touch. So I tie for number 1 between quality time and physical touch. So that's my number 1. And like, number 2, even though it's probably number 3, but number 2 is gifts. It doesn't have to be extravagant. I mean, I'm not going to say no, but it could be flowers. I love flowers. My husband's is not gifts. He could absolutely care less about that. He's like a Southern boy at heart. He loves acts of service. He loves that I cook well and that I enjoy doing that and making sure he eats. And, you know, I'm my grandmother, 2018. But, you know, making sure he eats and stuff. For him, if I bought him a nice gift, which I have many times, you know, he likes it. That's great. That's thoughtful. But it doesn't connect with him the way that an act of service would be, or taking something off his load, or, you know, doing laundry, or cooking a nice dinner, stuff like that. He doesn't connect with that. So the whole idea is really learning and identifying, and there's a quiz in there, what your love language is, what your spouse's love language is, and how you guys can fill each other. So I need to know that his number 1 is acts of service. So, oh, I don't need to buy this thing off of Amazon. I can, but that doesn't take the place of an act of service. And for me, you know, if he does acts of service, like wash the dishes, I mean, thanks. But it doesn't, you know, take away from a romantic, like, quality time outing. It doesn't take away from physical touch. It doesn't take away from gifts. So that's the whole thing. So they're learning that. The couples talk about it. I don't remember much about Karen. Is that her name? Katie and Eric. I think they had their first kiss. They all went under a waterfall and did an outing together, but then they all did it separately. I don't know. I don't know much about them, so I'm not even going to spend too much about them. I don't really remember much about them except them having their first kiss and getting more comfortable with each other. So that's Katie and Eric. Shannon and Kimber. Shannon and Kimber discuss what they like for love languages, and she likes words of affirmation. She said that her mom used to just sit them down as kids and tell them how great they were. And we have to also be aware that a lot of our love languages come from our family and the way that they showed love or the way that they didn't. You know, a lot of our deficiencies come from that. So it's really important for him to understand why that's so important to her. It's not just, I want to hear that I'm so great, even though if that was the case, that would be perfectly fine too. But there's this deeper connection to that. Shannon likes, is it acts of service or quality time, I think? I think quality time, because he said he spends like a lot of quality time with his family. So that was good. I mean, I still see them just with this very sexual connection, and they're going to enjoy each other this season, but I don't really see anything beyond that. But we never know. So we also have Tyler and Isabella. So Tyler and Isabella, to me, are still going strong. They had their first kiss. I foresee a little bit of drama with Isabella. I don't know why, because they're good, you know, but I think she's just a little regimented. You know, they were having this talk in the pool or in the water, and they were just, the way that she was coming across was very much like, you know, I'm from this place and we're so different, and you're from this place and you're so different, and I'm gonna kind of teach you and want you to be open, which is great, but there's a part of her that gives off that I want you to like embrace what I got going on, and that because it's right. And I don't think she's coming off like, oh, you need to, but I think it's something that she gives off. I don't know. And also flashback to like last episode where they flash back to her and Dave when she was on Second Chances, and she did something like he didn't do something that was so minimal, and she made it like a really big deal. So I foresee a little bit of issue with her. I don't know. Tell me what you think. Maybe I could be making it up, but I probably am not. I pick up on these things. So that's Isabella and Tyler. Next we have, no, we already talked about Jada and Chris. I don't know if they kissed. I can't remember, but they were off to a good start. I like seeing them together. They're getting comfortable. They're having a good time. So that's Jada and Chris. Last but not least was Jonna and Brandon. Hi, Brandon. Brandon subscribed last week, so I'm so excited. So I really enjoyed watching Brandon and Jonna. Why? Because as a therapist, for me, when I watch people, I'm thinking, where's this coming from? You know, and her lack of touch or whatever, you know, whatever turns her off about that. And now Jonna's the complete opposite. I mean, he's kissing his dad on the mouth, you know. So it's a lot, and it is a cultural thing, and it is a familial thing. For her, she just doesn't do that. And I think although she may not be as affectionate as he is, I think that she's more affectionate than she gives herself credit for, and she's more affectionate when she's all the way in. I think she's not all the way in right now. You know, she's been hurt by her past a lot. They had her mom come out because she had a breakdown with Dr. Jessica. I think the experience, like I said in the first video, is overwhelming for her. This is not really her cup of tea, but hats off to her trying something different. You know, we got to do things differently. You know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and getting different results. So she's doing something different, but you saw her struggling a little bit. Her mom came to visit. Twins. I mean, her mom looks exactly like her mom. Very beautiful. They look exact. That's her in like 20, 30 years. But what was interesting is when her mom showed up, she ran and jumped on her mom. So it was indicative of the emotion is there, which I knew it was. I just knew that it was something. The emotion is there, but you know, she has to do it when she's comfortable by someone she trusts, that's someone she knows won't hurt her. So, you know, she has a past where, you know, this person that she was dating not only cheated on her, but cheated on her in one of the most disrespectful ways, in their bed. So, you know, that is a very traumatizing event, and I knew it was something traumatizing. So I love when the docs connect where I'm like, that makes sense. You know, we're not just the way we are just because. There's always something behind that. And sometimes we don't really want to deal with that. But we, you know, we really, really are. So I was glad to see her mom come and kind of meet Jonna. You know, at first they didn't meet, but kind of meet Jonna and give her the okay, give her the push to say, you know, give it a shot. Like, I trust that this will go well. And like, I'm grown, but when my mom says something's gonna go well, there's like a sense of peace that I don't care if I'm 75. Like, I will always be like, okay, you know, I wait on it. So it's really important to have that familial support, and I'm glad that she was able to get that support from someone she really trusted. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they develop in the future, and I'm hoping that Jonna just practices a little patience. He already has been, but we never know. So just practice a little patience, get to know each other on a good pace that works for the both of you all, and then we'll see. So that is that's this week's episode, y'all. I'm like a melted piece of chocolate right now, but like I said, I have a fever, so I'm like falling apart. So let me know what you think. Definitely subscribe, comment, like, and I will see you next week. Everyone have a great week. Bye.